opera diva life. It comes with lots of work behind the scenes.
Meet Aigul Akhmetshina, Kazan-born opera star and youngest mezzo-soprano to perform Carmen at the Royal Opera House. Aigul is here to show you that no dream is too big.
First, you invest, and you don't know how much you invest. It's like Russian roulette. You don't know when it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
For some people, it never does. From the first day when I arrived to London, I sang role of Carmen. I don't speak English, no theater experience, never sang in French. I love her phrase, I lived free and I will die free. I also need my freedom to create my own life. Women want to be like her because Carmen lives the way how she wants. She lives by her own rules, and lots of women cannot do that. Even now, in our times, I don't think the world is ready for that type of woman as Carmen.
What advice would you give aspiring opera singers?
Well,
hello, my fellow leaders. Welcome back to Anatomy of a Leader with me, Maria Vorostovsky. I'm an executive headhunter, career coach, and host of the show. Here, we talk about how to find your calling, how to succeed in business, and how to live well whilst doing so. I am bringing Anatomy of a Leader live to a venue in London. If you'd like to be the first to find out about it, please make sure that you follow the link in the show notes to be added to the waitlist. And don't forget to subscribe or follow the show wherever you're listening. Aigul, welcome to Anatomy of a Leader.
thank you so much for having me.
Amazing to have you here. I mean, we've known each other for a while.
Exactly.
And I just remember sitting at that memorial of my stepfather's and listening to you, which is the first time I heard you sing properly. And I was just blown away.
That was terrifying, that event.
You completely smashed it. Like, you were incredible. Just like, not just your vocal performance, but the charisma, the charm, this kind of like very cheeky, very powerful, and you completely embodied this character.
I need to learn how to take compliments.
Yeah, you should. And I was just really very, very impressed, but also like you really made me feel something that made me feel like more powerful and more charismatic myself. And that's quite a rare quality. And so
Thank you so much.
No, I really mean that. And that's why I wanted to explore it with you, your journey, your story, how you kind of cultivate that, and, you know, talk about some other opera stuff.
Perfect. That's the plan.
That's the plan. That's the plan. So you grew up in a small town in Russia.
In a small village.
In a small village in Russia.
Yes.
And how does a young girl in a small village in Russia dream of becoming an opera singer?
Well, in the beginning, I didn't dream to become an opera singer, but everyone in the village knew me as a Aigul singer, because since I was 3 years old, I was performing. I was already on stage, and I started singing Bashkir folk songs. And as any child, I was dreaming to sing some pop songs, but in the end, my voice didn't develop to that style. And I think Bashkir folk songs helped me to shape my voice for the classical singing, because it's kind of there's lots of similarities, that you need to have a full range voice, good breath support, and flexibility in the voice, everything what you need for classical singing. That basically shaped my voice. And when I started training, first I was in some sessions, and I thought, okay, now I want to study professionally. And I went to my mom and I said, I want to go to music school. I want to study music.
How old were you then?
I was 6 years old.
Wow.
And
so from hold on, let's take it back a little bit. Although I don't know how far you can
I
take
went
it
too
back
fast.
from 3. No, but wait a second, because like being on stage at 3 years old,
yeah,
you wanted to do that, and you said, Mom, Dad, I want to do this, like put me on stage. Or how did you do
it? Just happened naturally.
Or you just walk up and just walk on the stage and say, I'm going to do a performance? I don't know, like how does that happen?
Apparently, also, as my mom says, I start talking later than I start singing, because I was always like humming some music around and listening to and copying some noise, and I was banging everywhere just to listen the sound. And in my family, everyone has classical voices, but no one studied music. It's just natural. And all the family celebrations, everyone sing. My grandfather played button accordion, and we had music in the house. And this is how I started singing. And when I was in kindergarten, there was a Mother's Day, and they decided that I'm going to sing for Mother's Day because they could hear that I have musical ears, as they called. And this is how I started singing. And I liked it. I liked it to be on stage. I enjoyed that feeling and that people get excited. That was something very inspiring. And I don't know. When I was little, I wasn't afraid of stage. I was just happy to be there. But I also felt that just singing is not enough. But we will come to this. Mm-hmm. Basically, I went to a music school afterwards. And
so you were 6, and then you asked your parents, "Take me. I want to go study."
Yes,
this.
I asked my mom that I want to go to music school because I was quite independent. Because my mom is as a single mom, she was working a lot, 3 kids, like, wow. And I was constantly or with my sister and brother, or just by myself, or with my grandma. And I'm used to hang around adults, and I just was quite mature for my age, always. They always called me old soul. I was very philosophical, I was dreaming a lot, I was living in my head and building stories. For me, it was a bit hard to become friends with the children of my age. Somehow there was less common things, and I just grew up quite fast. Mm-hmm. And I went to music school. They didn't have singing classes. For that reason, my mom said, well, you want to study music? We have accordion, my grandfather's. You're going to study that if you want to study music, because in the end, it's just, if you want, in the future, you will be able to change. But at the moment, we cannot afford to have a piano or cello or something more feminine, let's say. And here I am, 6 years old, playing this huge accordion, who is it was nearly here, and I had to play like that. It was horrible. I hated that instrument, but because I have a rule, if I start something, I need to finish it, because it's my responsibility that I started. It always was that rule which I constantly followed. I put that rule for myself, and I never kind of went other way, because if I start something, I need to finish. And I thought, okay, I asked for it, I'm going to finish. And after first year, they opened singing classes, and I started studying both singing, classical singing, and accordion, where I could say, oh, I'm going to leave accordion, I don't want to study anymore. But I thought, I already studied for 1 year, let's finish this 5 years of torture.
I said I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because also, if I promised to my mom to finish. I was like, I promised, I gave my word, I need to finish it. And after, when I finished my music school with 2 educations, I decided that there's nothing more in the village. And when I was 14, I said to my mom, well, now I'm going to college. I'm moving to the city. Wow. And I moved out from my village to capital of my republic, Ufa, and I went to college, where first they didn't want to accept me because I was too young for classical singing. Usually they accept from age 18, and here I am arriving at 14 and saying, please take me to the music college to study classical singing, because it can be a bit dangerous for the voice if you start too early. Mm-hmm. And I brought all my awards. I had like all the papers from competitions, and I brought for them. I put on the table and I was like, here I am. And they said, okay, if there will be some teacher who is having sessions, like if somebody in the building and they will listen to you and they say to accept your documents, okay. And I went upstairs and there was a lady preparing her students to go to university. And I said, I knocked the door and I said, please, can you listen to me? And she was like, okay, fine. And I sang for her very difficult repertoire because when I was studying classical singing in my village, obviously we didn't have internet much, we didn't have scores. We sang what we had.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have a proper technique. We just basically copied the sound. And I sang with my natural voice, but I didn't have a technique.
Mm-hmm.
And this teacher, she listened to me and she said, well, this is a bit inappropriate repertoire for you because it's too early, but we can work with it. And she said, yes, say yes, and we will take you to college. And I went for auditions, and in the end this lady became my teacher. I call her my guiding star because I was very lucky. Lots of singers cannot find their coach, their teacher on the way. They keep swapping, they looking for it, and often it becomes more and more tricky. And I was very lucky that I found her from the first try.
Why do you think she chose you as her student?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. Well, I probably had some talent, and probably I still have some talent. But I also was quite mature for my age. And I knew what I want to do. I arrived, I had this sense that I will need to work hard. This is something interesting in my journey. I always had to work hard to achieve something. But when it happens, it starts happening one after another. But it's as a result of hard work. And I always say that it's not enough to be talented and also work hard. You need to also have to have a little bit of luck. Without luck, you cannot achieve anything. And just learn how to communicate with people. It's important because if you open the door, just kicking the door, entering and saying, hi, take me because I'm talented, it doesn't work. You immediately push people away. And for me, it was always very natural. I find connection with anyone very quickly. I don't have a problem to have a just even small talk with people, with random people from different classes. It's just easy. It's natural. And probably that, because I was very respectful, but also very dedicated to my craft. And I gave her that impression that I want to work and I want to study, I want to learn.
At 14 years old, deciding to just go and, go to the school, what gave you the confidence then?
I didn't have confidence. I just tried. A little thing about me, I'm always scared. I dream big, but I love to challenge myself. I like to push my limits. I like to see how far I can go. And when I achieve something, I always immediately put a next goal. I don't stop. It's like, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but it's never enough. I achieve something and I'm like, okay, done. I don't even allow myself to celebrate that, because well, I come from that part of world, but if you are too happy about your achievement, it means you are too arrogant.
Yeah, I grew up like that.
I grow up in that
Yeah.
with that ideas. For that reason, I never allow myself to be too happy of my achievement, and I always put myself down.
How is that working out for you?
Um, It can be tricky sometimes, but I surround myself with people who can take me out of that state. Because lots of people after each of my achievement, they say, "Oh, be careful, don't get arrogant." But I think if that would happen, probably it would already happened before. But I'm very self-critical. And sometimes I put myself so much down after the performances that I need help from my trusted people to take me out of that state. And I don't know, probably this is also a thing that helps me to keep improving myself.
It's like a blessing and a curse.
Yes.
Because on the one hand, it pushes you to become even better at what you do. But at the same time, it can just take you down that sort of negative
Look,
pattern.
I'm already, I'm just in the beginning of my career, but I'm already preparing myself mentally that one day I will have to stop. That one day my voice will not be the same, that I will start losing the quality. What else I can do? And also, for me now, just singing is not enough. I want to leave something after myself to the next generation. How we can save the art, how we can save opera for the next generation, how we can influence the world through art. And I always, since I was little, I believed that through art we can bring people together, because art makes you feel something. And doesn't matter if it's opera or jazz or pop, or if it's visual art or if it's design, because it's all about beauty. It's all about make us feel something. And in some way ground. Because in this hectic life we constantly run around, and we forget that we have to live today. That's because it's amazing to plan the future, and past is a past. You have to take the lessons from the past and live today, plan a little bit of future, but still to not forget that today is a gift, because tomorrow it can not happen.
It can all go, disappear.
It can disappear, and we often forget about it. Basically, I moved away, but I went to college. They accepted me. I started studying. It was a difficult study because we had to shape my voice, and I was changing the voice from soprano to mezzo, because we were trying to find what is my voice, and building everything on a proper technique. And of course, I was participating in the competitions, and they was completely different age range already, and there was different people, and competitions in Russia sometimes can be corrupt, which is true, and everyone knows about it. And I often heard that I'm not talented. I would hear from random people, "Oh, she's not talented enough. Oh, she's not beautiful. Or she is not this and that." And of course, it affected my self-belief, and my confidence was down, and I often wanted to leave. I often wanted to quit. But at the same time, my teacher believed in me so much. She was supporting me and she was pushing me. And sometimes I didn't want to do anything, but I still would do, because I felt guilty that I'm not doing anything, and she's believing in me so much, and she's supporting me and helping. And there were so many people who supported me sometimes financially to go to the competition, because for me it was hard to afford. My mom worked hard to send me to competition to participate there and try to achieve something and show myself, because it's all expensive. And I felt guilty of not doing anything. For that reason, I would push myself even if I didn't want to. I thought I want to quit. Often I felt, oh, I'm not talented. Why am I even trying? Because lots of doors were closed. And especially when you constantly hear that your voice is not beautiful, you are not beautiful, your voice is ordinary, you are ordinary. And you think, maybe that's true. Because if you hear this very often, it can be true. And I would come to my teacher and say, okay, I'm quitting. That's it. But she constantly would push me. And I always thought, okay, I cannot let her down. I have to keep going. And I had always around me people who believed in me more than I did. They were encouraging me to do things. For that reason, I always say my success is not only because of me. It's also because of all these people around me. They give me strength, they support me, they believe in me more than I do. They lift me up when I need that help. And also, I don't believe that you can achieve something just by yourself, because any success is a build up. It's like you're going stairs, but you have people along that way,
Absolutely.
that journey. For that reason, I'm always grateful to every person who helped me, and I remember each of them. And I always, even in my mind, I would send some positive energy towards that people, positive thought. Because some people already they left my life, but they were the first bricks when I was building this journey. And still there's lots of people who support me now, and we are still building this brand, and it's still lots of work, and it doesn't look so luxurious as we see on social media, for example, and as everyone imagine opera diva life. It comes with lots of work behind the scenes. When I finished college, I decided to stay with my teacher for 1 more year, because my voice just finally, after 4 years of studying with her, I finally started finding my voice. I decided to stay with her. And I said, I'm not going to university. I will wait. I finished college. I study with her for another year. And after, when I stabilize my technique, I will go to university. When I will know that nobody will harm my technique. Because you never know. You go to often you go to conservatoire or university, and you don't find the right teacher, and they destroy your voice. And I didn't want anyone to touch my voice after my teacher. And I wanted to have this like strong ground. And I just said to my mom, I'm not going to conservatoire.
Conservatoria.
Conservatoria, da. And I'm not going to university. I'm staying with my teacher. I practiced for 1 year, because I also, while I was studying in college, I was working at nighttime. I worked as a stilts walker. I worked as an event organizer. I sang in different weddings, birthdays, different parties. I sang in nightclubs. I sang pop songs. I did lots of different things just to earn something.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't just wait that things will come my way.
Like, here I am.
Here I
trained.
am. I'm waiting.
And they come
please.
to me, all these opportunities.
Yeah, because this is the thing about classical singing, but in general with art and any freelance work. First you invest, and you don't know how much you invest. It's like Russian roulette, because you don't know when it's going to pay off.
Yeah.
And for some people, it never does. That's the tricky part.
So talk me through that, because obviously you were choosing to pursue this life. And even though there were moments where you were doubting yourself, other people commenting you're not so good, and there are other people around you who were encouraging you to do that, like deep down, what was really keeping you in there? Like, what was making you pursue and continue with this?
Well, I'm very stubborn. My sign is Taurus.
Okay.
I'm very stubborn. And even when people say no, but if I have something in my mind, I go towards that goal. I always find my way towards my goal. And also, I couldn't let people down who believed in me, because already I felt so much was invested, and whole my life I was singing. Since 3 years old, I was singing. Everyone called me as an Aigul singer. I couldn't let people down. Also, I didn't want to prove to that people who said that I cannot achieve anything and I'm not talented. I didn't want them to say, oh, yes, we knew it.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to prove you wrong.
I wanted to prove that they're wrong. There was some bullying too at school, because I was I was arty and I was performing, and I was in math class where I thought, and I'm not good at that. And everyone in my class, in my group, were very smart. And
Smart.
I'm a singer. Because it always was that, even teachers would say, like, they are smart and everything, and Aigul is talented. That's it. That was, and I always thought, oh, I'm so stupid. I always thought myself that I'm stupid. And even I would say, now every time if there's something, I say, I'm sorry, I don't know that. I'm a singer. Instead of brain, I have resonators. I'm sorry, I don't know. It's just something.
Let's focus on your strengths, not your weaknesses.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think my stubbornness to not let people down and proving that people wrong. And also I always wanted to follow my dream for that reason. I didn't know what else I can do. I didn't imagine me doing something else. I actually I really liked psychology and I really liked writing, and I thought maybe as a journalist or study psychology more, but in the end still stage was calling, because if I'm not performing I miss that. And it's something, because it's also adrenaline, and I feel like I'm adrenaline addicted. It's
So like that feeling on stage.
Feeling on stage, feeling
like adrenaline
of
junkie.
a little fear, because you never know how your voice will behave. You go on stage and you feel okay, but your voice has a different personality.
And you like that.
And kind of, yes. And this moment of improvisation, there's something there, and live performance that you can transform into different characters, which I believe they live inside of us, because we all have that different characters. But because the world we live in, we cannot express all of our feelings. We have to follow the rules, and which is absolutely okay. But I believe all of us have this exaggerated feelings which we see in opera. We don't express all of it into the world.
Yeah.
But through the opera, I can live that.
Yeah. I think that's why we enjoy the performance. And I think that's the reason why I enjoyed your performance, because you as the audience can step into that feeling and feel less shackled by your day to day. And I've been thinking about this a lot because, I mean, I didn't pursue the performance side myself, but I'm bit by bit rediscovering some of that, because like you, although there was that fear of being on stage, there was something about that feeling of like, oh, well, I'm completely alive.
But you kind of on stage, you're doing your podcast.
Well, I think that's the result of it.
And you are performing for a big crowd, which you don't see.
Yes. And I think that's probably as a result of rediscovering that. But more closely, I've been doing comedy acting recently. And there is
Comedy acting?
comedy acting. And I never really, I'm just doing it for fun and just exploring and experimenting. But there is something about us living these very shackled lives about like, oh, I can't do this. Or if I say this, it's going to be
Yes.
taken this way. Oh, I need to hold myself back. It's going to make somebody feel bad.
Well, you
Or-
know, but now it's a very, I really start feeling that we live in a very sensitive environment.
Yes.
Because
But
now
I think
everyone is very sensitive.
But I think we ourselves, we create the stories about what other people are going to think of us and behave in that way. And don't really express our real selves. And what I enjoyed about the comedy acting is because you're in a closed environment, there's only like 10 of us or whatever, and you can just do very silly things like, you know, catching a floating imaginary elephant, or you know, pretending to be a lion or whatever. So you're doing these very ridiculous things that take you really out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
But I think what you're saying about, which is I think is applicable to a lot of people, is this idea of being outside of your comfort zone. And you do that in your
In my
day to day.
performance.
Well, I'm going to get to that. It's like you've done that in your pursuit of getting to where you are now. And it shows very strongly in your performance of what I have, the very little
Yeah.
that I have seen.
Well, I always go out. First of all, if you want to achieve something, you have to go out of your comfort zone. You cannot just sit down and wait when something will come your way. Nobody will do it for you. And the truth is, nobody cares. Because we live in such a fast life, everyone has their own problems. And you have to know that you are still by yourself and you in charge of your life. You cannot sit and wait that somebody will bring for you things, somebody will fill your tax or fix stuff for you and make comfort for you. And the life which you imagine that you deserve or what you want to have, you can achieve that only by yourself, by doing something. But you cannot just sit down and wait, because life is not easy. And everyone has some struggles and everyone has some story behind.
Yeah.
But this is the way how you just think, because it's also important to keep working on your mental strength, to keep going, to go over all the life problems, or they are happening, the atmosphere in the world, and still do something. And not just wait. Because lots of artists ask me about how to become successful, how to do that. Oh, if we will follow the same path. It worked for me, but I cannot promise that it will work for you. Everyone has their own path which they're supposed to walk, but not just sit down and expect that everything will come towards them.
For sure.
And especially now, because it's a very competitive world. When I decided that I'm not going to study to university, I stayed with my teacher. I worked hard. I had to pay for my apartment. I started living alone when I was 14, and I had to immediately grow up. And for me, it was natural. I thought that's absolutely okay. Like,
You're an old soul.
I'm an adult.
Yeah.
I'm now studying. If I want to achieve my goal, I have to work. And maybe one day it will pay off. And my goal was that maybe one day I'm going to sing in the Bolshoi Theater or Mariinsky Theater in Moscow or St. Petersburg. I never dreamt about being abroad. Somehow I thought it's impossible to achieve. I thought from the place where I come from to go even to the capital of the country, it would be a big thing to do and long way. But somehow it happened that I just jumped over.
We'll get to that.
And I remember, because after that 1 year when I didn't go to any studies, and my mom started saying, oh, what people will say, you have to go to study or go to work. Because now you cannot just stay like this. It's hard for her also support me. And I also was understanding that. And I thought, okay, I will try to go to Gnesin Academy in Moscow. And when I went there, I was nearly first on the list after singing exams. And I thought, okay, I will study in Gnesin Academy. And after the last exam, they just dropped me. And they kind of said, if I want to study, I have to pay for it. And I wasn't able to achieve that. Like, I wasn't able to pay that amount. Because I think it was around, I don't know, around like 5,000, I would say. But my mom's salary is £150. And you cannot pay per year 5,000. It's impossible. I think that was the amount. If you want to study there, you have to pay per year. And I said, okay, then I'm changing my profession. I didn't care what I'm going to do. I was quite down, and I went on my way back home. How old are you now?
How old were you then?
I was, I think, 18, 19, something like this. And I thought, that's it. I'm changing my profession. I will take something which is more stable. Probably they are right. I'm not talented. I said to myself that I'm tired to knock the doors which are not opening. And on my way back, I called my teacher and I said, I'm so sorry, but I'm literally flashing all your work to toilet. Basically, that was the phrase which I said to her. I'm so sorry, but for letting you down, but I'm quitting. And exactly that moment when I was saying that, I had a car accident.
No.
Yes. And I remember that state. I thought, oh my God, am I going to finish like this? And partially I didn't really care because I thought if I'm not singing, I don't care.
What was the accident?
Just I was in a car and the driver just was trying to cross another car and there was a car coming in front and we basically flew out of the road and the car actually turned and it was a miracle that we stayed alive. Wow. I didn't have strong injuries, but it took me kind of 2 months to heal. And also I was quite traumatized and I thought I didn't want to sing and I stopped singing and I lost my voice. It was all psychological. Basically all my right shoulder went down and it has I had a whole tension, like jaw tension, neck tension, and that affected my singing. And I said, that's it, I'm not going to sing. I lost my voice and I put all my awards into the box and I put into the garage. I said, I don't want to see them. And my teacher said, I don't care what you decided, you come back and we're practicing and we will building your voice again. And literally in 2 months, we managed to somehow fix my voice. And I started getting the phone call from a competition in Moscow where I already participated when I was in a younger group. And they were calling me to the adult, more professional group to participate there. And then I said, I'm not going. I still have, my voice is not fixed yet. And my teacher said, I don't care, you're going. When you don't know how to swim, they just throw you into the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Swim. That was
You're gonna be absolutely fine.
Yes. And I went to that competition. And that was my lucky moment. I met the casting director of Young Artist Program of Covent Garden. I won that competition. He invited me to the auditions to London. And I thought, London? young artist program, what is it? I have no idea what is it. I don't speak English. I never been abroad. I'm not going. And I actually thought that it's some prank. I really thought that it's impossible. I was like, me? To Royal Opera House, Covent Garden? Seriously? I'm like, no way. And I didn't believe that they invited me. After I find out that actually it was my manager who asked that competition to invite me again for the adult group, because he heard me when I was in younger group.
Wow.
And he invited the casting director to Moscow to be a jury. And he mentioned my name to this casting director. It's just little accidents. And
You never know when someone is listening or watching
Yes.
what you're doing.
Yes, exactly. And anyway, because I didn't talk with Covent Garden, I was kind of, no, it's not true. And if I will go there, I had this thought that if I will go to London alone, I will disappear. I will never come back home. Something bad will happen. I was scared. I had lots of fears. But my teacher started raising money, start texting everyone for whom I worked to support me, to support my travel to London for auditions. And basically we raised that money, and my mom also, I don't know how she managed, but she saved a lot. And I went for auditions to London, and I was crying whole flight. I was so scared. I thought, what I'm doing? I'm just wasting all this money, and I will let down people. They believe in me. What I'm thinking about myself? I thought, are you thinking you're worth it? That you can do this?
You can take all this money and fly off into
to London and say and start working at Covent Garden with no experience, without English. Like, how that's possible? But I arrived, and they accepted me. But I had a funny story, because I was so terrified to go out to even order some coffee or something. And I was 100% sure that they will not accept me. I was trying to bring all that money back to pay back to everyone who supported me. And for that reason, I didn't eat. I brought with me some like bags of nuts. And I remember in the hotel room, in the morning, I would eat the breakfast as much as possible. And usually I don't eat breakfast at all. I would eat breakfast as much as possible. And after through whole day, I would not eat. And every time when I would feel that I'm hungry, I would just pour these coffee packs, which I had 3 coffee packs every morning in a hotel room, and eat some nuts and try to fall asleep as soon as possible. And at the end of the trip, I nearly was fainting.
How long was the trip? Like, how long?
Just kind of like 1.5 weeks, I think, something like this. But I came home. I brought most of the money actually back, but because I thought I will not be accepted. And after I had to raise another amount of money for my now travel to live in London. In the beginning, because I will not start receiving the money from the beginning, you know. But it was something absolutely crazy. When I heard that they accepted me, I became completely empty. I was like, what's next? Because I didn't plan this. It just happened. It's a bigger, this goal was even bigger than I put before. And now I need to create something bigger. What's the next step after this? Because, okay, Young Artist Program for 2 years, I'm settled, but what afterwards? I cannot return and say, okay, now I returned, and what's there? Nobody is waiting for me there, because, you know, if you...
It's already bigger than what you could have done where you were.
Yes.
And so returning back to your life will be taking a step down.
Yes, kind of. And I start thinking what else I can do. And again, I was very lucky. I found my manager straight away. Lots of artists keep changing managers till they find somebody with whom they feel comfortable. I had lots of offers from most biggest prestigious agencies when I arrived, but I was very scared, and also I didn't like the way how they talked to me.
Which was how?
It always was from up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you have to be grateful that we're offering you this. And I'm a quite also proud person. For me, is important. Doesn't matter in which position you are. You have to treat people respectfully. Doesn't matter if it's a young person or if it's an old person or in a position. You treat everyone with the way how you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And I don't like when people talk to me from above. It immediately pushes me back, and my Bashkir warrior mood immediately, I immediately stand. It's like, and for me, it's a big pushback. And with my manager, we had a immediately honest conversation. For me, is important when people honest with me. I prefer if it's a bitter honesty than sweet lie. I always prefer to take that. I will respect that person more. Because I also understand not everyone's supposed to love me. And this is how my story began. I end up in London. They accepted me here. I was working at Covent Garden as a young artist. The schedule was crazy, and also for me it was very tough as I didn't speak the English. I didn't speak the language, and I arrived and I was like, "Hello, my name is Aigul, Google Translator," and I didn't have any theater experience. My first ever theater stage where I stood, it was Royal Opera House, Covent Garden. It looks, when you think about it, it's insane. From a small village in the middle of like nowhere, I would say, it's a Republic of Bashkortostan, small village, and here I am. But also, I had to prove that they didn't mistaken. For that reason, I was trying to work harder, better, faster, and after end of the first year, I got my kind of covering role of Carmen. They were preparing me to just learn the role, but nobody thought that I will actually go on stage. And on
How
my
old were
second
you?
year, because the first time when I just straight arrived to Royal Opera House, they gave me to sing Carmen in La Tragédie de Carmen in a shorter version. And that time I was 21. When I jumped into Carmen, I think I was like 22, 23. But my Carmen story began. It's also so interesting. From the first day when I arrived to London, I sang role of Carmen. I don't speak English, no theater experience, never sang in French, and straight. Also, I arrived late, and I straight arrived to the rehearsals. And Carmen started following my journey. But after, I had to jump into Carmen with two days of rehearsals, swapping the part from being friend of Carmen to the title role. And also afterwards, I did the live stream, which opened lots of doors for me. But I think the important part in the whole my journey is that I always build a very nice connection with lots of people. I always honest with them. For that reason, I think they kind of more or less attracted.
It's the trust.
It's a trust, yeah. Because every time they ask me a question about something, I always ask, do you want an honest answer or what do you want to hear?
You know, pink roses, tinted glasses answer. Yeah.
Exactly. But that was the beginning, and this is how everything started. And now I'm just working this already nearly 8 years. I'm just working non-stop, performing. And what is interesting, more people know about me, more I get scared, more pressure I feel, more responsibility.
Well, that's completely natural because that has followed you through your entire story. When you were telling me the story about not eating for a week and a half because you wanted to give back the money, I was like welling up with tears on that. It's just that feeling of, like, even now, it just like makes me feel like really emotional because it's like the amount of responsibility that you hold for other people
All the time.
It's intense.
It is, and now I'm trying to balance between constantly putting other people on the first position than myself, because I need to balance that. Sometimes people take advantage of it, and I embrace that too, because this is something about me what I don't know if I want to change. Because I have lots of difficulties, and there are some parts which I don't talk about. But if I think about, would I change anything in my journey? No, because it shaped me. It made me who I am as a human being. But also, I always put myself lower. And that plays a trick now. I don't because when you're growing, you have to find the right balance to keep going. And now I'm learning every day.
So what are you doing about that?
I always recommend to all the artists, especially in our crazy world, to have a therapy. It's so important to anyone to have a therapy, because we all have some trauma, always some childhood trauma, because of course our parents did the best they could, but they also have their baggage, their luggage of trauma, and we have our trauma, and we will in the future try to do best for our kids, but still they will be something. And it's so important for us to work on ourselves, to take responsibility in our hands. And I always remind to myself, when somebody asks me an advice, I don't give it, because I always say I can share my opinion from my experience, but I will not give you an advice, because it's an easy way. If something goes wrong, you will blame me that I gave you wrong advice. And I never allow myself to blame others for something that doesn't work for me. For that reason, I don't ask advice. When I ask the question, I always say, what is your thought about it? And after I shape my decision, but then I can blame only myself. I just have simple rules which I follow, and I believe in them, and it helps me to
Like stay centered.
to stay centered, and to be also what's the word? Верный себе.
Stay true to yourself.
Yeah, it helps me to stay true to myself, because it's so easy to get affected by others, and it's important to be able to make your own decisions.
So you're saying you have some rules for yourself, like 3 rules that you have for yourself.
Well, one of them is I don't ask advice.
Yeah.
I ask opinion, because I don't blame others. Treat others the way how I would love to be treated. And I accept everything what comes to my way. I'm very philosophical. Without bad things, you will never appreciate good things. And it's a right balance. For that reason, even if something happens, which is not pleasant, I try to get some positive outcome from it. Like to look to anything with a positive thought. And to not allow myself to go deep into like suffering and feeling sorry to myself. Also, there is a simple rule: depends on how big the drama around. I can allow myself, okay, 1 week I can feel down and I can feel sorry for myself, or a couple of days, or a month if I need to grieve. But after, I need to hold myself and go forward.
That's a really helpful advice, opinion.
It's because we all have, for example, you go over some like breakup
Yeah.
and it's painful. And you because you're detaching yourself from somebody, and it can be painful, and you're like, okay, how much time I will give myself to grieve, because it's like grieving. You're losing a person, you're losing that connection.
Yeah.
To let go, and it's important to be gentle with yourself in during that period, and to listen to yourself, to understand yourself, and to give yourself that time. But after you set that time,
It's like you have your little deadline.
you have a little deadline, but afterwards that day crossed and you say, okay, today is a new day, there's a new journey, bring it on, what's happening now?
I love that. I love that. I think it's because wallowing in it forever is not helpful. But
No.
also not helpful is to ignore it completely and not allow
Yes.
yourself to have the space.
Yes.
So allowing yourself to have that space for a certain period of time to process it, to feel sorry for yourself, to allow whatever happens inside.
Yes.
And then it's like, okay, it's happened. Now let's move on.
Because sometimes we can be irritated by our state. You know, you
try
feel
to push
you
it away.
start self-blaming. You say, oh my God, why you feel like that? And you punish yourself for this. But you cannot change your feelings. You have to work on yourself to kind of let them go.
Yeah.
You have to release. And my habit always was to suppress them. But
It's a very Russian habit.
yes, but that's also not good, because in the end it becomes like it always pays off. I always get sick or something. My health is start suffering from it. For that reason, now I'm trying to find the balance.
Do you bring any of that into your performances now?
Yes. All my performances, every time I go on stage, I live my story through my own experience. But for me, it's important to live each character. For that reason, I'm always going into deep psychology of the character which I'm portraying, and I'm trying to find connections with my personal story, and I'm making it personal. And after, when I go on stage, I'm constantly reliving. And sometimes it becomes very therapeutic, because there's some stories where they're quite similar, which you just suppressed in yourself. And after you think, oh, there's some similarities, and you really relieve that on stage, and you're letting it go.
Has there been something that's the reverse, where maybe it's an experience and you're reliving it and actually you can't release it, it's like in you?
Yes, sometimes it can be very draining, because with some of my characters, I go inside of myself, I have some wound, and I'm scratching it, that it starts bleeding, to make it real. And after, I go on stage and I live through that perspective. I don't know if it's healthy or not, but this is the way how I like to perform, how I used to perform, and also it's closest way to the heart.
How do you, after the performance and say it is draining, do you have a routine or a ritual afterwards to help to either come out of the character or to deal with whatever has happened on
Well,
stage?
there's adrenaline running for a couple of hours, that's for sure. And after the performance, I'm craving for some food. And usually it's some steak and glass of red wine. That helps me to settle. Because after the performance, you give away so much energy that you need this energy
need
back.
calories.
You need calories because I don't eat before the performance. And after the performance, I'm just starving. I'm just imagining during the curtain call, I'm imagining that steak or something. I'm like, I want to eat. But I go home, and sometimes if I'm alone, I have this Cinderella syndrome because I start cleaning. That helps me to calm down. Or I watch some movie, but usually I'm up till very late, always. For that reason, I sleep very little. And in the morning, you have to get up and go and do other things. You have to prepare another role, or you have to do an interview, or you have to fill your tax, or you need to apply for visa, or you need to do some photo shoot, or you need to just practice or learn the language, or there's like lots of things you have to do.
How do you feel about that? Because, I know what it's like behind the scenes of performance, and also what it takes. You see like a successful picture on the front, but really like behind the scenes, it's like you're doing like all sorts of stuff that is very unpleasant. So how do you emotionally feel of, having this like big feelings, emotions on stage, adrenaline, and then going into your day-to-day and filling in your taxes?
It's hard.
Yeah. It's like you're here and then you're like in the dregs of all this like life admin that...
Well, I like that with my job, with my lifestyle, I have opportunity to basically one day fly on a helicopter for the dinner, to some luxurious dinner, and perform there. And another day you are just sitting in McDonald's and having coffee and a little burger.
Yeah.
I like this contrast, which is insane. One day you are performing for King, another day you are sitting in the tube and trying to answer all the emails, and because it's lots of admin, which people don't see.
No.
But I always say to lots of people, don't create an idol, because in the end we are all human beings. After the stage, I try to live my normal life, which is not normal already, because most of the time I'm away from home, I'm traveling, I don't know where's my home. Now I will leave for nearly 6 months, or I come back just for one day to swap my suitcase, and I leave again. And I'm all the time on the road. I know my schedule till 2031. I plan my travels for 2027, 28, which is insane for some people. But for me, it became my routine. And around all this madness, I'm trying to live my normal life, to meet with my friends, to go and watch some performance, try to do some sports, hiking, I don't know, again, all the admin stuff. Social media is like a full-time job, and of course it's draining, and sometimes I have days when I completely collapse and I cannot do anything. Now I'm more and more I'm trying to not do everything just by myself. I have my assistant, I have my PR, I have my agent, and it's okay to ask for help. I have my therapist who is helping me with my mental health to stay okay, because it's very draining being all the time with people. I'm an introvert and also extrovert. It's like both. And during the performances, for example, when I have one day off, usually I switch off the lights, I close the curtains, I close the doors. I'm just in my in bed watching TV series, ordering just food, and the only person who I see is a delivery guy, and I don't reply to any messages and phone calls.
So you like to have solitude after your
Yes.
performance, and that's how you recuperate from
Yes.
that. Okay.
I need my time for myself, where I still socialize a lot, because I have a feeling of that the time is running so fast. For that reason, I have to meet my friends when I have this opportunity, because it's also very rare. And I push myself, and now I'm learning how to balance it. It's life is about balance. And now I'm learning word no, which is very important, because sometimes I put so much work that it's hard to handle. And because I don't stop, my body forces me to stop. And the recovery time after each performance now is getting longer. And
How long do you need? Like, what's the ideal for you?
Well, at the moment, I don't know, because I never do. At the moment, I'm just dreaming about it. I'm a big dreamer. I'm dreaming about lots of things. I'm dreaming to find the time to do some skydiving and, I don't know, learn how to ride a motorbike. At the same time, I have lots of collaborations with the different artists. I want to create some safe environment for artists when all the different art forms can blend and create together. Because I think now it's a time when different art forms supposed to support each other. Because we are in a very weird time that through art, we can influence the world. We can bring more kindness, spread love. And our opera is the most perfect example, because we arriving to create an opera all from different countries. We look different sexual identities, we speak different languages. Like, that brings something beautiful. Everyone brings something which is unique. And we all create, we unite and we create something beautiful. And we are a perfect example that we can be nice to each other.
I'm all about collaboration.
It's all about collaboration.
And doing things across different disciplines as well. Because I think now, especially in the social media age,
Yes.
where you are not just an artist in your kind of classical field, you also represent, this idea of dreaming big and coming from, a small village to, like, going on the stages of, world opera. There are other things that make you unique beyond, staying within your lane of the
I believe
music.
everything is possible. Everything is possible. You just have to go for it. You have to work, not wait. And take the opportunities. Also, it's about treating everything with respect. Because usually people who go by closing the doors for others, being nasty, their careers, even if they happen, they drop very quickly. To build something which will stay there for long, you have to be nice. It's very simple. And I just always wanted to influence the world and to create a better place for the next generation. And I'm thinking about, if one day I will have my kids, I would love them to live in a better world, in a safe environment, in a kind environment. And this is our job to do that. And I truly believe that with the small steps, you cannot force other people to do something. with the small steps, with creating the community around yourself, with the same ideas, you spread that thought. And with art, we can do that.
Take me to your performance of Carmen. Earlier, you've mentioned that, you know, she sort of followed you through your career, like from very,
Yes.
very early stages. Tell me about, you know, how that role came about, because I don't think we touched enough on that earlier. Like how did you land the role and how did you feel about that?
For some reason, I always felt a strong connection with Carmen. It was one of the roles with which I fall in love immediately. And I felt strong connection with her. And opera Carmen is a unique opera which you can interpret in so many different ways. And even if you set her in a modern world, it still works. Music is very powerful. And the reason why this opera is so popular, because it's one of the most popular operas in the world, one of the most performed operas in history. Because it's just an opera about human feelings, human relations, and it's about humans. All our good and bad sides. And you see in this opera lots of traumatized people. Actually, it's a whole psychology book. And every time you find something new, every time I think, oh, I think I get it. I think I found how I want to portray
I see
Carmen.
all the different angles.
I think now she's complete. And she flies away. And the magic about Carmen is that men hate her and love her, and women love her and hate her. It's a very interesting parallel, I would say, because women want to be like her because Carmen lives the way how she wants. She is very honest. She's painfully honest. She didn't promise to anyone love forever. She lives by her own rules. And lots of women cannot do that. Because even now, in our times, I don't think the world is ready for that type of woman as Carmen. Because still, there's lots of women who we live by rules. Like, oh, I have to be a nice mom, I need to do this, I need to behave a certain way. And Carmen just does whatever she wants, the way how she feels.
Main character energy.
Yeah. And men hate her and love her because they cannot have her. She's unpredictable. But at the same time, they're very attracted to her because she lives fast, she burns fast. That's also not healthy. But at least she's that irritating character which annoys everyone. She attracts and irritates. And that's the reason why this opera is so relevant. And I feel a strong connection with it. Every time I go on stage, I have no idea how she will be. I step on it, on like my first step on stage, and I'm like, am I flirty today? Am I more heavy today? Like more grounded, more aggressive, or more light and more seducing? I don't know. It's every time happens in a moment.
It's a real woman.
Yes.
At every day.
Yes.
It's a different experience.
Different experience. Absolutely different experience. And there's always different reason to die. Because in this opera also you can interpret the death in many different ways. And raise a big important topics as a homicide. Is that the word?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a man killing women because she rejects him, or she forces him and provokes him and he loses his temper, and it's just a moment of losing himself. And she just also, it's about two people who just didn't stop in the right moment, the argument and the
It's like the fight till the death.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or in some versions, Carmen forces herself and she sacrifices herself for man because she read the future. And in another part, she just basically commits the suicide, kind of, and provokes him till that point. Because she wants to feel alive. She burns fast. She leaves fast. Her feelings are extreme, but she also a very lost soul, very lonely lost soul who wants to be understood and accepted and loved. And in the end, she doesn't see any other way. There's so many versions how you can interpret, but I love her phrase, I lived free and I will die free. And it follows through whole opera. And I love that because I also need my freedom. My freedom to create, my freedom to decide what I will do, to have my freedom to create my own life. For me, it's very important. And of course, freedom is there when you still have some boundaries. It's like there's a phrase, freedom is there when you can choose not to do, basically. When you can choose that, oh, I will not do this. I don't want to do this. When you have a choice, that's freedom. It's not that, oh, I can do whatever I want. Now I will go to the shop and take everything. And, we build that freedom with boundaries.
It's like the idea also of contrast. You need one to have the other.
Absolutely. This is amazing that you are working together in a collaboration. That's so inspiring.
So many people say that. Yeah, we say that all the time. Because especially, I think we're getting better at it now, but the amount of conflict we had to resolve was a lot. And it's also if you're working
but it's
in an
all
intense
about
way.
Conversation.
Well, you say that, but we had to learn how to have that in the first place.
Well, another rule from me today. This is a rule from my side. I never speak when I'm angry.
Interesting.
I never talk because when you're angry, this is the moment when you hurt the person most. You say things which you don't want to say, but it just comes out because it's like your little nasty personality just appears and you want to say something and it's kind of childish because you want to be heard, and by hurting other, because I can be very sharp, you try to be heard, but in the end you don't achieve anything. For that reason, for me, if I'm angry and if I feel that now it goes into argument, I shut up. I wait till I cool down, and after I sit down and talk, and it's important to start the conversation not with the accusation, to explain your feelings, that maybe you understood something wrong way.
Yeah, rather than make assumptions and criticism. You did this.
Yes.
You never put away the
because
bins.
After what will start, this person will say, oh, but you did this, and it will start you, and in the end it goes into argument.
And then there's the fight till the death.
For that reason,
who is the person who can hurt the other one the most?
Yeah. And I sit down and I'm like, I felt like for me this is very important. I would really appreciate.
Please.
Or
it means a lot to
let's
me.
listen to each other. But this is I try to follow for that reason because I'm always avoiding conflict. I cannot bear this conflict when somebody is shouting at me.
But that's already escalated conflict. That's not. That's what I'm talking about, resolving conflicts. It's knowing how to do it rather than not avoiding it, but also not being triggered and just saying whatever.
Yes.
And it's you don't want to be completely ignore the situation, and then you don't want to kill the other person. There is this.
Yeah. I just
calm
I just
conversation.
start learning to also actually express and go into this conversation with people and say, look, this thing hurt me. I felt very sad, and that was uncomfortable for me.
Yeah.
Because if you don't say it, this person never will know. It's even in a friendship. This person will never know that what is in your soul. What's your feelings if you don't say it?
Yeah.
We have our mouths to talk, to explain, instead of just expecting that somebody miraculously will understand what you need.
I think the hardest thing is being vulnerable with yourself first,
Yes.
to then be able to be vulnerable with someone else.
Be gentle with yourself,
Yeah.
because I think we are quite similar about like pushing it, like yourself to the limit, till exhaustion. I had a period like in May when I just burned out, and it's hard because you stop feeling this joy of performing, and you feel only need to do things. You constantly feel that you're letting people down, and
Yeah.
my body, I was ill non-stop, and it was okay. The world didn't collapse when I had to pull out from a couple of projects.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to do that
You have to.
for the long term.
You need to leave space to rest.
Yeah. What's the biggest misconception people have about opera singers?
That they are all divas.
Are you?
No. It's like in the, because now it's a different world. Now the opera community, and it's more friendly. It's all, everyone is just normal human beings. If somebody behaves as a diva, it's usually very arrogant, and it's kind of an insult if somebody calls you a diva. And I don't like that, because we create this creation of like a person who's an idol, but in the end we are all human beings. It's just so simple. And of course sometimes I feel very hurt when on social media, like lots of people, like they randomly can throw at you insult, that you look wrong, that oh, you have a double chin, or this and that, or your singing is not good. And I'm trying to somehow influence that and speak about it, because I don't think it's okay that anyone can accuse people just like, and hurt people just because they want to, because you don't know what is happening in other person's life, what's happening in this particular moment. Maybe your comment will destroy this person's life and push that person on the edge. Every action has consequences. And I really try to often now, I speak about it on interviews also. I want our audience, our public, to hear about it before they write it down, some negative comment. Because they will never come to you into your face and say it. And when people say to me, but you are a public figure, you should just bear with it. I don't want to. I want to deliver to everyone that I'm also a human being. I'm not a property. Yes, I'm performing and I'm sharing my gift with everyone, and I hope that I heal somebody's soul with it. I impact their feelings. But in the end, I'm also a human being. I'm not perfect. Perfection doesn't exist. Why, like recently on, I had my birthday performance. Like first of May, we had this live stream from Covent Garden, Carmen. Afterwards, we had the after party. And after that, I was in taxi scrolling messages, like happy birthday messages under my picture. And there's like random man probably like age 60 something. He just texted there. Aigul, your performance was great. I just watched the live stream from Rome. Wonderful singing and acting. But my advice, watch out what you eat, because double chin at age 28 is not okay. Happy birthday. And you know, it really crushed me. I entered home and I just started crying because you know, when you have birthday, usually you're more emotional. And also it was a big live stream performance. I just died on stage, and you know, it takes so much energy, and I felt very bad. It really hit me, where in another day, if I would be just like today, I wouldn't care about his message. I would say, okay, frustrated person, unhappy person, because I believe happy people don't write nasty things.
No. I was going to say, but I don't want to like give, you know, when you're sharing and being vulnerable, how it, you know, makes you feel. It's like, oh, you know, let me give you some advice about how to deal with it. But what I have learned about social media and kind of detached myself a lot more from it is that it's actually, comments are not about you. It's
about them.
About them. And something about you has triggered them, and it's now directed at you. But they probably never even seen you in real life.
Yes.
They have no connection with you as a human being. And when I got the idea that it's not about you, it's about them, all of a sudden it doesn't have a hold on me as much.
I know that. I understand that, but
it still hits.
Because I'm very empathetic. I'm an empath, and for me, I start feeling very bad and sad. Why this person is so sad deep inside? I feel sorry for this person.
Wow.
And I start feeling sorry, not so much for myself. I start feeling sorry that why these people so cruel in some way. It's like, how that's possible that you have such a deep pain inside of yourself that you decide that it's okay to say to somebody else and hurt other person. And I start feeling that it's so unfair, and I feel sorry that I start, like, literally I feel pain for this person, and I'm upset that why
Yeah.
like, what did happen to this person that this person became like this, so negative. And it's I don't know, my ideal world, because in my head, the, let's say, peace and positive energy and everything is so simple. It's simple to achieve, but unfortunately the world sometimes is unfair,
Yeah.
and especially in these times. And the only thing what we can do is be aware of that other person can, at this moment, can go through a difficult time, even if this person smiles and behaves like a happiest person in the world. You never know what's going on in other person's soul. And I really hope that through art we will kind of spread more kindness and awareness. This is my job. This is my mission. What I believe since childhood, that my job is to bring people together and to make them feel something. I feel responsible because this gift is with me for some reason. I believe that there's some reason that that particular gift is given to you. And for me, just to sing is not enough. I'm always thinking how I can influence. Okay, I can help other singers. I can sing for some charity foundation, raise some money, and they will help, for example, I don't know, for the treatment for the kids or the cancer research, or like something what you can do small, little by little. Or raise some money for somebody to go to study. you give it a chance.
Do you feel like this sense of wanting to give back because you have received that and you've seen people who have, supported you during
Yes,
the early
but
stages?
it's a boomerang. You have to give back. To have this flow that things will it's the same thing, like if you chop the tree, you have to plant another, like 10 trees. You have to return to the universe, to the planet, and I believe in karma.
Definitely.
I really believe in karma, and if not to me, that it will give to my children or my family. It will return in something. But when I do something good, I don't think, oh, this will come back to me. I just do it because first I need it, because it's my need to help others. Because before I had this also a little problem when I was supporting people and they would disappoint me in some way, they would behave badly and it would hurt me. And now I really start working on myself, and now I help people only when I know that I'm not expecting anything back. I'm doing it only because I want to. And I'm doing it for myself, not for them. If I feel that I can help. Because otherwise, the expectations, that's what hurts us.
That is so true. Yeah.
And in the end, I cannot change the world. I can change the way how I think, the way how I feel.
It's the only thing that you have control over.
Yes, and sometimes not really. Our health, our body reacts in certain way.
What's next for you?
Lots of different new roles.
Yes.
Lots of projects, lots of exciting projects, and I really try to create some different collaborations with different artists, different music genres, like, because we need to grow our audience for classical music, and it's only through, we can achieve this only through collaboration. And in the future, I'm creating this kind of little by little projects to find our audience. And also, I just became ambassador of Opera for Peace, and it's a community which helps different artists from all over the world to make their way, kind of also. If they need sessions, teachers, auditions, financial support to move somewhere to study, master classes, to share the experience, and just in general influence the world with the more positive events. And also I'm ambassador of another academy where I'm sometimes giving master classes, and that also helps lots of young singers to try to learn Italian style, bel canto style. I'm trying to do as much as possible, because I also feel that there's not enough time. Since childhood, I always felt that there's not enough time.
Well, you had that accident so young too.
Yeah, but it wasn't only the accident. I had lots of interesting events in my life, as like we had a fire in a house and this and that makes you feel and be aware of time, because time is the most expensive thing in our life. And this is the only thing which you will never return. And I always say to everyone, it's important. It's your choice with whom you spend your time, to whom you give your time, and that's it. Then things becomes more easier.
I know you say you don't give advice, but I'm going to ask for it anyway. What advice would you give aspiring opera singers? Like, what do you think is essential to being an opera singer now?
Well, to opera singers, first of all, don't believe what is on social media, because there's beyond that. There's lots of work. Dream big, work hard, and be gentle with yourself.
Well, on those words, thank you so much. I mean, there's so
Thank
much
you.
more to you than we can possibly cover. in
Well,
this
I will
time.
come. I will come to another.
Please do. Honestly, like there's just not enough time to cover it all.
Yeah.
And just amazing hearing your story. I mean, what a story. What a
I
story.
actually really like that. I really like your podcast, to be
Thank
honest,
you.
because I listen to it, and I love to see lots of different people from different fields, because that's inspiring. I always get inspired by people who do something what they love, and they achieve like lots of different like things in their own field. That's so inspiring. And I always connect with that people, and it gives me inspiration.
Well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah, and
It's not all in vain then.
and there's lots of inspiring women also. I actually thought at some point, because I have a couple of incredible, talented women achieving lots of stuff in their fields. I thought it would be amazing to create a show, like also
Like bring them all together.
bring all together and have like
Yeah.
couple of people
Yeah.
discussing some theme.
Okay.
And I thought to bring them to your podcast.
You should. Well, Aigul, thank you so much. Really a pleasure.
Thank you.
you so much for coming and talking. I am bringing Anatomy of a Leader live to a venue in London. If you'd like to be the first to find out about it, please make sure that you follow the link in the show notes to be added to the waitlist. And don't forget to subscribe or follow the show wherever you're listening.